Thank you for your presentation. And now we have Punahou School from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Thank you. Before we start our presentation, we would like to thank Masako Toki with a gift of aloha from us. So here's a lei. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, here.
Oh, thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. Sorry.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Wow, that was really good, you guys. Thank you. Perfect way to start this off. So, I'm Stephanie Sakamoto, a junior at Punahou School.
And I'm Kristen Koike, a senior at Punahou School.
And we are from Honolulu, Hawaii, on the beautiful island of Oahu. Today, we will be sharing with you the CIF 2018 focus, treaties, the Ban Treaty, and our mission.
We have already learned about the Cold War throughout our world history classes. However, right now we're experiencing somewhat of a Cold War 2.0. If you look at things like the Doomsday Clock, we're at about where we were during the Cold War. So everybody's on their toes and ready to go with the hair missile alert, which is very concerning, and it's our job as the next generation to do something about that. We have already seen the trial and error of the generations before us, and to repeat the errors such as Hiroshima and Nagasaki that we have already observed is nothing less than irresponsible.
The nuclear non-proliferation regime is a network of organizations and treaties created with the intent of spreading nuclear non-proliferation and peace. Many of these organizations work internationally to create mutual economic, humanitarian, and political non-proliferation goals as a cohesive unit. This year's treaty focuses on the elimination of nuclear weapons and the spread of potential peaceful nuclear energy.
The development of weaponry technology hit an exponential climb with the start of the Manhattan Project. If you look at the red area, that's the area of time in which we've had access to nuclear weapons. It's incredibly new, and the laws and regulations are still catching up. However, we need to move forward from the nuclear deterrence mindset that set us in the situation that we were in the Cold War. As we've seen before, it doesn't work, and we don't want to repeat events like Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
In order to better understand these treaties, we created a timeline to look at the history of treaties throughout the 20th and 21st century.
The first treaty is the PTBT. It banned the testing of nuclear weapons underwater and in outer space. However, it still allowed for testing underground.
The NPT, signed in 1968, was an international treaty aimed at spreading nuclear disarmament and peace.
The CTBT is a multilateral treaty for both civilian and military purposes, and it's a huge milestone in the non-proliferation movement. However, it has yet to be ratified.
The last treaty, signed a little less than a year ago, supported by ICANN, was adopted by the United Nations in July of 2017, and this prohibits the development, testing, producing, manufacturing, transferring, possessing, stockpiling, using, or threatening to use nuclear weapons.
Generations before us have shown us that the process of disarmament is possible if it is broken down and achieved in the correct manner. Our generation has shown what we can do with Twitter and a message throughout things like the gun movement. And it's just a matter of putting the two and two together to tackle our next goal.
A nuclear weapon is a weapon of mass destruction, which uses a combination of fission and fusion to initiate an exothermic rapid expansion or explosion. An atomic bomb is a weapon initiated exclusively by fission reactions, and a thermonuclear or hydrogen bomb is a weapon initiated by fusion reactions between deuterium and tritium. This table shows an approximate count of nuclear warheads around the world.
The recently ratified Ban Treaty focuses on a primarily moral argument with an idealized viewpoint. Although it would be excellent if we were able to approach nuclear weapons in the way the Ban Treaty does, it's not necessarily manageable. We still need to put past the point of nuclear deterrence in order to actually solve our problems and communicate with one another. Areas such as North Korea, which do not have open channels of communication, reside in fear, and that's an excellent example of why we need to talk to each other in order to solve these problems.
As the first legally binding agreement to effectively prohibit nuclear weapons, the Ban Treaty is aimed at promoting cooperation in advancing peaceful uses of nuclear energy. For this to come into effect, 50 countries must sign and ratify the ban treaty. All nuclear weapons states, as well as U.S. allies, did not decide to ratify or sign the treaty. Although these countries do not actively oppose the treaty, their inactions manifest the possibility of it remaining open indefinitely. This is not the first, and most likely will not be the last stalemate in a push for nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament.
The Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, or the NPT, is an excellent example of what more treaties should follow, as it has been successful with 191 participating states. It resides on three main pillars: nuclear disarmament, non-proliferation, and the peaceful use of nuclear energy. The peaceful use of nuclear energy is important to focus on because it does not reside in fear. It's not fear-based things that you're using to blackmail other countries. It's something positive that we're working towards, and that's a more steady motivator for all the participating states.
As Albert Einstein once said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. As Kristen and I analyzed the ban treaty, we looked at the challenges of ratifications, issues with the ban treaties, and solutions for these problems.
Essentially, countries need to talk to each other and stick to their word. This is much more easily said than done, but it's important that we as the next generation take the next steps towards that. Opportunities like this are an excellent example.
Lastly, enforcing these commitments and reprimanding violations is a difficult task to address in ratifications due to the ever-changing political climate.
Unfortunately, the ban treaty tends to split the world into two groups, proponents and opponents. This almost treats the journey of nuclear disarmament as a sort of one-step process, and it's not at all. Each country is at a different step along the journey, and we need to take different actions as a result of our different places along that. Some countries need to educate the voters on what nuclear weapons are. Others need to educate their congressmen on pushing past nuclear deterrence mindset.
Also, the political and technical conditions are not appropriately aligned. There are not enough education resources available for people to understand how to properly dismantle nuclear weapons. During an interview with Hiromi Peterson, an author and teacher at our school, she said the countries which possess nuclear weapons always disagree to the ban treaty. This is the biggest problem. The Japanese government disagreed to the ban treaty because it is protected by the American umbrella, but Japanese people support the ban treaty.
When we talked about this interview with David Santoro, we mentioned one of her questions: what can we do as the next generation to affect the government? We are lucky enough to have innumerable technology and resources at our fingertips. We can use social media to connect with each other and learn about each other. It's really easy to fear something you don't understand, and we have the resources to understand them and take efforts to improve them.
In order to address the technical and political conditions of the ban treaty, like Kristen said, we interviewed David Santoro, a fellow and senior director at the Nuclear Policy for the Pacific Forum. During this discussion, we learned that in order to address these issues, funding must be allocated to support research and education on nuclear disarmament. Programs need to be funded in order to train and instruct people on how to properly dispose of nuclear waste.
Oh, there's no. There's supposed to be a beeping. There was a beeping when we got the thing. I'm just gonna keep on talking. Okay. The noise you're supposed to be. Okay, so there's supposed to be a beeping noise. The noise you are hearing is an alert many people in Hawaii woke up to at 8:30 in the morning on January 13th, 2018. The false missile alert was a real eye-opener to show us how unprepared and uneducated we were. As yesterday's keynote speaker said, it only takes one accident to set us into nuclear warfare in the state we are right now. We were both at school at the time the alert happened, so we were both hiding in the locker rooms, and we knew sort of about the situation we were in because we had done prior research at that moment. So we knew that we were in a very, dangerous time with so many countries having nuclear missiles on the trigger hair alert. So we were convinced that this was the start.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Okay, we were convinced this was the start of nuclear warfare, which was terrifying. It took 30 minutes for the Hawaii Emergency Agency to send out the all clear alert. And in that time, everybody was like losing it. It was crazy.
Okay, yeah. So there was supposed to be a sound, but technical difficulties. So, moving on. This inspired us to take action ourselves because we learned that we are so uneducated and unprepared for a false missile alert like this. So after discussing these issues with our mentors, we were inspired to figure out a way to address one of the issues. We chose to address the technical conditions and educate our peers around us. From the words of Auntie Pilahi Paki, Hawaii has the key, and that key is aloha. Being from Hawaii, we are taught to live and share aloha with one another every day. We hope our gift of aloha will educate those around you and improve the technical conditions of the treaty. We were inspired to create the Aloha Lei Project. So as you can see, each of us are wearing this lei. And first of all, we should define what is aloha. Can I get a show of hands of how many people think they know what aloha means? Okay, a few? Okay, not too bad. So aloha is more than just a 5-letter word that says hello or love in Hawaiian. Aloha is much more than that. It represents and embodies a multitude of values that can be used to work towards peace. Aloha is being kind, aloha is unity, having understanding, humility, perseverance, and aloha is strength. As a symbol of aloha, a lei represents that. A lei is a simple garland of flowers carefully sewn together with the intention of being a gift of gratitude and love for someone special. So before we came to this trip, we put together effort and made each person a lei for you as our gift to all of you who are very special and dear to us. So we would like to present each of you with our leis, and the color yellow represents hope and positivity, so we hope that each of you can remember that when you see the color yellow. And we attached a pledge to the back of each golden heart to remind you, and you can share this with one another. So on the back of each heart, sign your name, and when you go back to your schools, you can have your friends also sign this pledge. And it is attached with a blue ribbon to represent our school colors from Punahou. So as we present this video showing aloha, if all of the CIF students could please make their ways to the aisle so we could give you our gift of aloha to each of you. Thank you. So if you guys can please come down.
Oh wait, is it playing? All right.
There's no sound.
I think can we go out and see if the sound is on this? Yeah, there's a problem.
You guys want to do the missile alert thing again? Okay.
How come?
Making sure you're awake.
Try it.
Nope, that's it.
Together as how can we overcome these challenges and differences together as we move into the future?
There is only one way, and it embodies everything we have talked about. It's summed up in one word, aloha. We've been told it's a greeting, and we see the word everywhere, but what does it really mean? And how is it foundational to our future?
Aloha!
While some would say aloha has a definition of a greeting, it's more than just a greeting. It's a way of being, it's a way of life. You can break the word down into 2 parts, actually multiple parts, but in general, alo, to be in the presence of, to be in the face of, to join, to combine with the ha, the breath, the life, the spirit, the essence of one's being, anyone else around you. And so when you say aloha, aloha, you're saying to be in the presence of, to join with the spirit and the essence of the person who is across the table from you, with the place that you're in. It also speaks to the notion of connecting to the creative forces, however you define them, God, nature, the in each us, the heat energy, to alo, to connect with that and to live in balance with that thing. It also touches on the concept of pono, that again, that balance. It's something that talks about and speaks of giving and receiving, not giving and taking. And so if we don't find aloha, oftentimes it's because we didn't bring it with us. It's a notion that the more you put in, the more you receive. Aloha is also about leaving people and places better than when you found them. It's about leaving people whole, leaving a place whole.
Aloha is the connection of all things, a presence that is unspeakable, that you can't touch, you can't see, but it comes from the center of your being.
The Ha is the mystery of life. And to be in the presence of the mystery means to be in a state of wonder. If we could carry ourselves in a perpetual state of wonder, there would be no time for depression, for stress, for boredom. There'd be none of those, because we would see significance in everything around us.
Perhaps the greatest proponent of aloha was Auntie Pilahi Paki, who was referred to as the keeper of Hawaii's secrets. She believed that aloha was the key to the future of Hawaii, and that in the 21st century, a hurting world would come here to seek out answers found through this concept of aloha. Pilahi shared that aloha, as practiced through her ancestors, was the very essence of life endowed to man in his and her beginning, the very spirit that connects us to the divine and each other. Aloha is so powerful that we can't truly comprehend its significance. It goes beyond culture to the core of each of us, to the essence of who we are as humans and how we relate to everything around us. It embodies all that we have talked about. Aloha is a gift we have received and is not realized until we share it with others.
Each of us must ask ourselves, do we live in a spirit of aloha? And if not, what effect is that having on the Aina and those around us?
Living out aloha with the Aina and each other is the key to our future. For aloha is spirit, and it is life. As Auntie Pilahi often said, Hawaii is aloha, and aloha is Hawaii.
May the spirit of my ancestors, aloha, embrace you always with affection. These are traits of character that express the spirit and the people of a land known throughout the world in these words of wisdom, intelligence, knowledge, and understanding. What the world knows in the word aloha. Aloha.
Okay, so we gave you these lays as an opportunity to spread that message when you go back home. So it's really easy to fear or think something you don't understand is impossible, which is why you may have experienced people in your community thinking that nuclear disarmament is impossible and it's not reachable within our goal within anytime soon. But it's our job as like their friends and colleagues to educate them on the issue, to show them where we are and where we need to go and what steps we need to take. So that's all of your responsibility and ours. And shout out to Hiroshima Jogaku in high school. We've partnered with them on stuff like that before, and we look forward to future partnerships. And yeah, any questions? Oh, wait, sorry. Oh, okay.
So although this journey towards nuclear disarmament and non-proliferation is a long journey, we hope that you can look around and see the sea of yellow around you with the other CIF participants and see positivity and hope. Like each of you were given a lay, we hope that everyone can take a small step forward to make a change. We hope we have inspired the desire to aspire to take action to make an impact on your own community and share our gift of aloha with your family and friends back home. And we hope that you all be the aloha you wish to see in the world. Thank you.